Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hadirin yang saya hormati, semua dah bersedia ke? Kini tibalah kita ke acara seterusnya, Forum Melakar Cinta. Maafkan saya. Melakar Cerita Malaysia, Identiti dan Imaginasi. Forum petang ini akan menjadi ruang diskusi untuk membincangkan bagaimana penulis, ilustrator, pendidik atau penggiat seni boleh melakar atau membentuk cerita-cerita Malaysia dengan mengekalkan unsur identiti tempatan sambil memanfaatkan imajinasi yang luas. Sebelum kita mulakan forum kita pada petang ini, izinkan saya membacakan sedikit biodata moderator kita. Puan Geetha K dilahirkan di Bandar Pesisir Port Dickson dan dibesarkan di Kuala Lumpur. Berpengalaman sebagai pendidik selama 2 dekad, beliau memulakan kerjaya sebagai guru bahasa Inggeris di sektor swasta sebelum dinaikkan ke jawatan Ketua Jabatan. Beliau kemudian mengalihkan komitmen kepada minat keduanya, iaitu penulisan yang membawanya menceburi industri media. Beliau aktif menulis dan menyunting untuk beberapa penerbitan media bebas, terutamanya berkaitan isu sosial dan gaya hidup. Beliau pernah mengikuti kursus penulisan memoir khusus di London, anjuran akhbar The Guardian bersama University of East Anglia. Novel sulung beliau bertajuk The Seed diterbitkan di Malaysia oleh Fiksi Novo pada tahun 2020. Buku keduanya, Record Boy, memoir seorang bekas rakyat Malaysia, diterbitkan di UK pada tahun 2023, diikuti oleh Gerak Budaya di Malaysia dan di India pada tahun 2024. Nampaknya Puan Geetha K akhirnya ada komitmen minat yang ketiga, menjadi moderator. Kini karya ketiga dan keempat beliau sedang menanti untuk diterbitkan. Kalau pagi kita ada pantun, petang pun kita ada juga. Sulam sutra di pinggir kata, bunga bahasa harum mewangi, moderator dijemput, membuka wacana, melakar identiti, membebas seni. Dengan penuh hormat, saya persilakan yang berusaha Miss Geetha Krishnan atau mesra dipanggil Geetha K selaku moderator forum kita pada petang ini. Dipersilakan. Bersama beliau, para panel jemputan, yang pertama dipersilakan, Pau. Kenapa Pau? Nanti moderator kita akan kupas. Seterusnya, Tuan Zaim Durulaman dan Dr. Hasleena binti Hamzah. Dipersilakan semuanya untuk memulakan sesi forum pada petang ini. Saya serahkan majlis kepada moderator. Persilakan.
Thank you very much for the beautiful introduction, Farhana. Pertama sekali, I nak minta maaf because walaupun I said I will try to do this moderation, my first attempt, officially at least, dui bahasa. After listening to all the speakers daripada pagi tadi, I think my confidence dah jatuh. So I cannot try to speak like them. Sebab bahasa Malaysia saya daripada zaman 80-an, ya. Like that, kalau bersantai, okay, I can. Tetapi in a platform like this, susah sikit. So please bear with me, okay? So again, thank you so much for the beautiful introduction, Farhana. Good afternoon. I think everybody dah makan lunch and I hope you are ready for an artistic explosion with this forum, yeah, with our 3 panelists. But before that, I'd like to start with a big thank you to Perbadanan Perpustakaan Awam Selangor ataupun lebih dikenali sebagai PIPAS and its pengarah, Datin Paduka Mastura Muhammad, who is not here because of another matter, as well as the Malaysian Board on Books for Young People, MBBY, especially its President, Dato' Reza, and Vice President, Professor Sidin, for coming together to organize this event and our forum today titled Illustration, the Malaysian Story, Identity and Imagination. I've been here from this morning, yeah, and I think some of you have been here from morning, and we've heard speakers before from this morning or who have already spoken about our artistic laureates and their styles and their philosophies, from Datuk Lat to Rajabhat to Datuk Syed Ahmad Jamal, Chung Kam Kau, and others. So for this session, we won't go there. Yeah, all the serious matter mereka sudah pun bincangkan, and so we will try to keep this a little bit more light-hearted. Okay. I, as Farhana said, come from the world of words. Words for me are power. Words are magical. But having said that, let's not forget the richness of illustrations. Pada hakikatnya, when we walk into a library or a bookshop, beautiful library like this or a bookshop, and you're looking for a book, the first thing that you see, bukannya the words, it's the daya tarikan of the cover. Yeah, that's what attracts us most. So that's quite undeniable there, right? And sometimes an illustration does not even need words. The power of the illustration is so strong that it carries an identity on its own. Yeah, let's take a look at this illustration. Okay, I hope we are not blocking. You can see. We don't need words. Sekali pandang pun, I think anybody can know, because the identity of that image is so strong with the book and the words. I'm sure all of you know what book we are talking about here. See, Harry Potter. You see people have their own styles of saying even, yeah? So they don't even need words. And sometimes an illustration is even more powerful than a word, I will say. And I can say this as a writer. For example, I'll give you a sentence, yeah? The object moved. She was petrified. When you're a young learner ataupun somebody yang baru belajar bahasa Inggeris, you listen to the word petrified. Okay, you're trying to guess, yeah, right? Then when you look at a picture, can we have the next picture, please? You look at that picture and that image, whether it's a child or somebody who's learning the new language, they look at that picture and they know, this is takut, scared. Bukan takut semata-mata, but some, amat takut. That's petrified. I mean, it's easier to deduce the meaning of the word. So here, today, we are about to find out from the experts the power of the image and illustration. Right. We all know, we've heard that Malaysia has a vibrant community of illustrators. Most of these illustrators work as freelancers, like our beautiful young lady here, and others, sometimes they work in small teams, they work for agencies or publications, sometimes also in in-house studios, and they create everything from children's books to fashion art to advertising and beyond. But today we are gathered here to shine a light on how illustration shapes the Malaysian story. It's about how we are going to, or how we are already creating our identity, our imagination. For that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to now introduce our wonderful speakers for today. Let me start with the gentleman. We have Encik Zaim Durulaman, a lecturer and full-time artist since 1990, who has shown his work in Malaysia and around the world, from Brunei to Singapore to China, Japan, and even Macedonia and Dubai. He's well known for his realistic style, but is now exploring more abstract ideas. As he has matured, his art often shows his protests against subjects like deforestation, like painting wilted flowers to show nature's struggle. He believes an artist's journey is like a fisherman going out to sea, facing challenges with courage and skill. Besides painting, Encik Zaim is also a lecturer at UNISEL and shares his love for art with people of all ages, sometimes giving therapy and guidance as well through his creativity. Next, we have Dr. Hasleena Hamzah, a researcher, educator, and creative practitioner based in Kuala Lumpur. She holds a PhD in communication and has spoken at national and international events about visual communication and how we see and understand images. She's also exploring how new technology like augmented reality can help us tell better stories and share our culture in new ways. Besides her work, she dreams of one day opening her own special bookstore that combines design, storytelling, and reflection. And her husband is also a baker, so I assume there's going to be a little shop in your bookshop as well, yeah? A little bakery. Okay. Last but not least, we have Puteri, Nur, Atiqah, la la da 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 da. I say that because she says my name too long. My father's name lagi panjang. So she says just call me Paw, P-A-W. So Paw it is. Oh, she has fans. Nice. Paw is a freelance illustrator known for her dreamy, story-driven art that takes us back to childhood memories. She started drawing seriously in 2021 after studying geology, and her love for cinema, comics, and video games inspires her colorful illustrations. Paw works on book covers, picture books, and editorial art, and she also shares advice with other artists about contracts and copyright. So she's a serious lady. Her work has been shown in the US and the UK, and she loves to help other illustrators find their voice. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them all a warm welcome. Firstly, what's the difference between an artist and an illustrator? I didn't know this as well. I mean, I sort of figured it out, but I wasn't too sure. But I'm sure ramai di antara kita di sini pun tak begitu pasti what exactly is the difference di antara seorang pelukis and an illustrator. Sebagai panelis yang paling berpengalaman, I'm going to ask you, Cik Zaim, to start off with giving us an explanation.
Thank you, Puan Moderator, Miss, Madam. Geetha. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Rabbi salli sadri wa yassirli amri wa hlul bilisani yafqahu qawli. Terima kasih kepada PIPAS kerana menjemput saya dan rakan-rakan di sini untuk berkongsi sedikit pengalaman. Terima kasih kepada pelajar-pelajar saya, pensyarah saya, Prof Sidin, Prof Mulyadi dan pelajar-pelajar, dan ibu saya pun ada di sini. Terima kasih kerana sudi datang. Okay. Apa perbezaan? What is the difference between artist and illustrator? Right. Okay. Sebelum tu saya nak explain sikit apa perbezaan artwork or painting and illustration. Artist, actually artist is apa nama am bracket nama am kan. Artist dan illustrator is artist lah. Designer also artist. Whoever that did art is, we call an artist. But biasanya kalau we call it artist, that means it's a fine art artist. Okay. Dan illustration dan painting bezanya ialah satu, illustration is a commercial art. Yes, it's very clear. But painting is non-commercial. Painting is yours, is mine, is ours. But illustration is for others, not for me, not for us. Because we did illustration to fulfill whatever they need. Kan, macam kita freelance job kan. Whatever yang kita buat tu adalah kehendak daripada klien. Then before we do any illustration, we have to read a script. Illustration tak akan datang without any script. Kan, dia tak akan datang sendiri. Kalau dia datang sendiri, maknanya it's not. I mean, that one is artwork. That one is for artist, for myself, for siapa-siapalah yang produce. Cuma beza yang kita nampak di sini adalah teknik. Mungkin setengah-setengah kita kalau kita tengok exhibition, art exhibition, dan some people will talk, this is illustration, this is drawing, this is painting kan. So mungkin yang itu dari segi teknik, but mostly if we talk about illustration, that means is commercial work. Is commercial work, and that one yang kita boleh, selain daripada kita boleh cakap dia adalah commercial work, dia juga adalah bersifat communication, to translate the story, to translate a text. So illustration is a image to make people more understand what a writer try to tell a story. That's all. Because kalau book, children book illustration, I think the text is only 1 or 2 word, or mungkin 1 baris saja kan. Yang lain, the more the dominant page is a picture. Maknanya picture is communicate to a readers, basically untuk kanak-kanak kan yang belum boleh membaca kan, dia tengok 1-2 patah perkataan, tapi dia harus melihat image tu, then they understand what is what is a writing all about, what is the story all about, based on picture yang ada tu lah. Maknanya itulah jawapan dia, commercial and non-commercial. Artwork is for ourselves. What are you trying to explain to others? Sama ada tak puas hati, sama ada artis tu happy, then they produce artwork look happy for himself, not for others. Because artwork, painting produced by artist is belong to the artist. Artist try to share to audience, whether audience like or not is tu dia punya problem. Because artist ni dia ada satu sifat yang ego. You suka, you tak suka, you pasal lah, apa peduli kan. Ni kita produce. Tapi illustration no, you have to follow. Alright, saya rasa jelas kot Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a very clear explanation. I don't have to give a roundup for that. Unless, ladies, you would like to add on to...
if you were to ask me in the context of graphic design, right, correct me if I'm wrong. So for us, right, graphic design, so we categorize if those who do graphic, so they tend to involve photography at the same time. So meaning they tend to manipulate the images and they add also some illustration typography element. So we categorize as illustration, it's a vector work. It usually is drawing or painting, but in a digital form. So for us, distinction is that way. Okay, perhaps a bit technical. Perhaps.
Testing. So what Tuan Zaim explained earlier, he explained it very clearly. The difference between being a fine artist and an illustrator is that as a fine artist, you're selling your brand, an artwork, a product that is representative of who you are, and your customers come to you and buy your paintings for who you are, based on the color palette, based on the composition, what brand you carry with you and yourself. Whereas as an illustrator, you really have to put down your ego, and much of a bulk of the work it entails having to follow your art client's brief, what they need, what colors they want for that particular project they have in store, based on what they have put down. Let's say if they want an illustration of a gorilla, you have to go through the process of asking yourself the right questions. Is it an Eastern gorilla? Is it a Western gorilla? And along the line, you have to have a discussion with your client about the technicalities, about deliverables, project timelines, how long is the illustration going to be used, is it licensed to them within 1 year or 10 years down the line, especially in publishing, as well as rights. The concept of rights and clauses does apply to illustration, and in comparison to fine arts, in which when you are purchasing a painting, there is an opportunity for you to resell that painting to other buyers. But with illustration, there's a lot of following what your customer wants, and there's an opportunity for you to allow relicensing of that artwork.
Right, okay. Now to go on, I don't think we need any more clarification on this subject. I think it's pretty much clear what the difference is between an artist and an illustrator, and also for giving a contemporary explanation to that as well, Paul. Right, going to the next question really. I mean, I am curious to know at which point in your life did you decide, hey, drawing is more than a hobby? Yeah, this is my career path. I mean, we know there are certain stigmas attached to being an artist or an illustrator. So that detik kesedaran, when did that come to you, when you realized this is my future?
Nampaknya mula dengan saya je. Okay, when I was realized that I am an artist. I don't know. Until now, I don't know actually.
Mungkin di bangku sekolah, you know, drawing, cikgu cakap sana.
I start to doing this drawing activity while I was, I think, 4 or 5 years old. Bila I can, you know, hold the things. When I can hold the thing, then I hold a pencil. And once I hold the pencil, and I start to conteng. But what I remember, the first drawing that I do is cowboy, because I love to see cowboy drama. During that time, black and white drama cowboy. That is only apa yang saya tengok dalam TV lah. So my family don't know what I'm doing. Actually, they don't like what I did during that time lah. And I used to use charcoal yang masak tu tau, bukan charcoal drawing, charcoal yang masak ni, conteng dinding. That one my very beginning, kindergarten age lah, kan. And from apa namanya, bermula daripada masa tu until now, I practicing without feel any bored, tak pernah jemu, kan, until now. Sebab dia jadi satu macam bukan hobi, addicted, kan. Kalau hobi kita boleh tinggalkan anytime, dan kita boleh lupakan. Setengah orang kan dia cakap apa tahu, gantung brush lah, dah gantung brush dah harga ini dah 3 tahun, dah 10 tahun. Kenapa bila you start buat drawing, then suddenly you stop, then you buat kerja lain, and then 10 years after, then baru nak start practice again. I rasa itu bukan satu, itu hobi lah. Boleh lah katakan hobi. Tapi to make a good art, you need to practice. My student ada kat belakang tu ramai. To make a good art, you have to practice. Kalau boleh every day lah. One day one drawing pun cukup. Mira ada kat belakang tu, nampak? Okay? Okay, practice apa yang you minat. Itu yang paling penting. And when I was realized I'm an artist, of course after graduate lah. After graduate ITM, saya graduate tahun 1988 and start working as an illustrator and designer for only 2 years. And I quit from the company and become a freelance illustrator and full-time artist because too many job that I get during that time. Sebab tak cukup masa kan. Lagi satu, income from freelance I think 4 kali 5 kali ganda daripada gaji. So what for wasting my time pergi ke office 9 to 5 kan. I stay at home 20 years before I joined UNISEL. Okay, that's all.
Fantastic to hear that there was so much of work sampai tak perlu pergi kerja kat luar, and you could sustain yourself with just your art for 20 years. So adakah itu like masa kegemilangan or berterusan sekarang, now?
Sekarang I'm working.
No, not just you specifically, about the market
Okay.
for illustrators.
Okay, now I have one student here actually, I think. Here, yalah, betul. After graduate, dia tak not interested in working, not interested to have a salary because dia ada, mungkin dia dapat rezeki, dia kan ada klien, then work from home, macam itulah rutin dia. Dan tak perlu nak rush macam everybody need to go to school 9 to 5, need to go to school, need to go to office from 9 to 5 kan. So just stay at home and doing illustration je kan. Sama juga dengan Pau.
Okay. Yeah, so going now, the same question to the both of you.
How it started
Yeah, the spark.
Okay, mine was maybe we have the publisher in the house. Back then there's this storybook. Nama buku tu Tidurlah Intan. Do you remember if you had this buku Tidurlah Intan? So they have a cerita rakyat, cerita dongeng. Okay, so they don't have so much illustration. They have about after 3 pages and they have illustration, maybe because of the budget. Okay, but I have a few visual that really strong in my head. Painting of I have maybe hand-drawn painting of owl, burung hantu dengan ayam, chicken. Okay, so this cerita dia macam ni. The question is, kenapa ayam tak boleh terbang tinggi? Okay, kenapa? Okay, aside the scientific part, sebab dia ada kepak, tapi kenapa dia tak boleh terbang tinggi? So that was the question. So dalam cerita tu diceritakan dia ada benang dengan jarum yang dipinjam daripada burung hantu. Lepas tu dia tak he's not being responsible, dia tak bertanggungjawab. So buruk dia punya jarum dengan benang tu hilang. So dia tak habis jahit dia punya kepak tu, sebab tu dia tak boleh terbang tinggi. Okay, dalam penceritaan tu. But I have this strong visual. See, the thing is, that illustration, dia simple je. It's just burung hantu dengan kepak dia macam tu. See, I can remember, I'm in my 40s, I can remember, dia macam kepak tak habis jahit. I remember that illustration. The things that what that book do to compare with current book or even gadgets, kita fit with a lot of illustration, kita tahu what's next. Tapi because of satu visual je, so it allow me to imagine how it happened, mana dia hilangkan jarum tu, mana dia letak benang tu, and then so that's the story. So that's how it's been developed. So from that, so I look forward for every book. So my father, he's very proud actually for me to be here, but he's not here. His birthday also today actually. Dia akan belikan buku tu setiap bulan because dia series, tapi sampai 9 je dia dah stop that book. I'm not sure what happened to the publisher. Lepas tu after that, DBP come out with a new updated version, was a different illustration style. So from there onwards, it's like you happen to like, okay, I suka sangat illustration ni, so you wanted to draw. So along the way, sekolah rendah, won a lot of art competitions. Tapi masa masuk dah sekolah menengah, in high school, parents dulu dia punya idea of art is like, if you ambil art, nanti you lukis tepi jalan. Back then. Tapi because they don't know what is the scenario. Back then dia tak ada graphic design. We don't have that. It's either pelukis or cartoonist, that's it. So then okay lah. I don't think I want to pursue that area. So hence that's why you see me, I'm an academician. I can do art, but not a practitioner on Illustrator lah.
Right, 2 things I learned from listening to you. One is that you've always been a very curious child, so you had that questions in your head, and when you read something so exciting, you were like imagining it ahead of the words. And 2, more interestingly, your father. You know, when you mention a parent, I'm sure many of you here are parents, it's very, very important to do that reading to your children at whatever time. Usually they say before bedtime, that's the best time. Yeah, at any time at all, I feel, even tengah masak ke whatever, you can still talk to your child, turn that into a story. So that's very important, and you have a fantastic example here of a young lady who is where she is now because of that spark that the father gave her. Yes? So, Paul, to you now.
Well, I knew from a very young age that you can make money out of art. It started off when, So I went to Penang. There was this one hotel that had a lot of Arwah Yusuf Gajah's paintings, and that was the first park where I started to ask questions. Oh, lawanya, macam ni boleh jual? Oh, boleh jual, okay. Berapa ribu? Oh, beribu-ribu, okay. So that stuck with me, and from then on I started to experiment with a lot of painting, traditional mediums, crayons, poster, I didn't know acrylic back then, color pencils, and then as I grew older, I started to have different interests. Proceeding on, I started to get into comic comic Doraemon, and then comic gempak. Sesiapa tinggi baca comic gempak. I was drawing a lot of comics on a whim, sometimes during recess, and I find eventually I learned that I have a very strong attraction towards the art of storytelling. Tapi when I was young, I was studying sciences, and I had it was very little tricky to put that sort of thing in between studies, but my passion for it held on. And again, I grew up with the love for storytelling, and I started to see how it is adapted into other forms of art, cinematography in film, cinematography in video games. I played a lot of video games growing up, and I collected comic books. I like the idea of how a story is told and a message is imparted towards the readers. And when I was young, I liked reading a lot of action stories. And as I got older, I decided, okay, I think I want to try to freelance into illustration. How do I get started? So it started with a simple Google search of what art is, how art is applied in the entertainment industry. So I attended a Lightbox Expo back in 2021 during COVID. It was possible because everything was online and I could not fly there physically. And from there on, I started to explore all these keynotes and workshops and to find what fits me most. I wanted to get into concept art, but I did not have the necessary fundamentals to go into it. And I figured that during that time, a lot of these people who were in the animation industry were being laid off. Not a great idea. So I looked into publishing, my return to my roots for my love for books. I attended this seminar by Steph Liberis. She is a picture book and character design based in the US. And she started to draw us into this rabbit hole of the technicalities of how to get started as an illustrator, because you need to have a portfolio. And within the portfolio, you have to showcase your range, what you can and are comfortable to work with. And from then on, you have to equip yourself with the necessary entrepreneurial skills, negotiating, how to make yourself presentable to clients. And from them, that was also the starting point where I learned that amongst all forms of illustration, children's illustration is the most lucrative form of illustration because it comes with an advance of at least $8,000 in the Western market. That is followed up with royalties. If anyone one day miraculously within their dream gets to sign a humongous publishing deal with the US and UK market. So, and aside from the money, because I'm not there for the money, of course, is that the art of children's illustration aligned with my beliefs of making children happy, making a difference in what they believe in growing up. And so I sort of delved into the art of children's. I'm still diving into children's publishing, transitioning from editorial art. but the similarities they share is the art of storytelling and imparting information, making artwork something that is easy to interpret and memorable for a long time.
Girl likes her money, doesn't she? I mean, it's good motivation, I feel, especially for today's young people, who want to work independently, who don't want to work under anybody, who don't want too much stress, physical stress that is, but, to give them that space to do what I want to do. And of course, they all want money. So I hope the young ones here learn something, like I am now motivated to stop being a writer and maybe learn how to illustrate ke, memang tak ada bakat, tapi kalau boleh, when I heard $8,000 just like that, not bad. But I think all of you will agree when I say we seem to have a generational aspect here going on, from Cik Zaim, who spoke about zaman cakul, drawing dengan cakul. I was like, wow, cakul. And then when you said, until now, terkejut aku. I thought he was like, sekarang still using cakul, but he meant something else. Tapi daripada zaman cakul to graphic design to the world today, I think Paul gave us a lot of insights into what the current situation is, what is the deal today, what is the scene and the landscape today, which has changed tremendously from what it was before, right? Now, we come to the topic of identity, and specifically the nation's identity, Malaysia's identity. Around the world, we all have seen how certain countries have very strong identities. Yes? Right, you can see from this straight away, that this is the man who established the Malaysian identity for a long, long time in this country, and he continues to be the benchmark. Okay? And I think a lot has been said about him. We also have C.W. Key, who did the illustrations for the Star. If Lot did it for NST, he did it for the Star. So these were the people who entrenched the Malaysian identity. Okay, but going back to what I was saying, certain countries, like when you say Japan, straight away you think anime, manga. You speak about Holland, for example. They are a powerhouse of graphic design. Then you have Korea, which is very stylish, and they have their webtoons and something called manhwa. And France, for example, has the asterisk. So we have all this. But the question is, what is the Malaysian identity? So that is the next question. How can Malaysia do it the same way? How can we create our identity? How can our visual storytelling help shape our uniquely Malaysian identity? Which one of you wants to start first? We are talking about identity.
Malaysian identity yang kita tengok tadi itulah. This one is Malaysian identity. Okay, untuk zaman sekarang, now generation, Malaysian identity is artwork yang very obvious yang kita nampak adalah Upin Ipin. Kan, Upin Ipin. Upin Ipin actually kita harus berterima kasih kepada dia kerana memperkenalkan bukan saja kepada new generation, but kepada jiran-jiran tetangga kita, contohnya Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, kan. Indonesia lah, especially yang hampir sama dengan bahasa kita, kan, banyak mengenali budaya kita melalui Upin dan Ipin. Itu yang sangat obvious lah, kan. Dan selain daripada itu, Thailand ada translate bahasa Thailand, dan juga Vietnam pun ada translate bahasa Vietnam, tapi yang obviousnya adalah Indonesia lah, kan. Dan yang bagusnya Upin Ipin ni dia bawa kita punya culture dalam dia punya pembikinan animasi itu, kan. Itu yang smart lah bagi saya, smart. Yang lain yang saya nak, ini I'm talking about animation lah, but animation is part of illustration actually, kan. Saya rasa yang lain saya bagi pada rakan-rakan saya untuk sambung.
The discussions about this identity, right, Ms. Geetha, I think even when I did my master study, there was a lot of discussion regarding what is Malaysian identity. It's always should be, kalau Malaysia, it have to be batik, right? It have to be kerawang-kerawang. But is that our identity? So then they said that do we need a content or element that we could refer to shape our identity? So I think for the past 5 years, I think you have seen a lot of illustration of food illustration, because Malaysia punya food, air batu campur with, and then that is the identity, they said. So but then now coming back now, so they said, but how when we look at an artwork, we know that it is belong to Malaysian, but I think it's quite impossible because of the background, the mixed hybrid background that we have. It's really difficult to identify that this artwork have to be Malaysian. If you're talking about stroke or design element, difficult, very difficult. But we have a rich culture or rich sources. Like I spoke even previously with Farhana, we were discussion just now, we were talking about kenapa kita tak ada illustration pasal herba-herba, right? Misalnya dalam books, English they document all these herbs, right? So Malaysia kita ada daun kaduk lah, all these herbs yang hanya ada dekat Nusantara kan, tapi it's not been documented in illustration kan. Maybe if you ask me Malaysian identity, you have to go back to our resources. So then we could shape the identity.
Well, aesthetically speaking, to be honest, we are still finding our footing. But if you were to ask the average Malaysian, dorang akan cakap Datuk Lat with his very loose pen strokes and funny political comics, narratives behind it. It's very recognizable, Datuk Lat punya work. So yeah, we are still finding our footing, but what I notice is that we don't necessarily have to represent our Malaysian identity through the art style that can be put on display out there, but rather within the spirit of the storyline. Macam Tuan Zaim cakap lah, kalau Upin Ipin, orang Indonesia diorang tahu Upin Ipin melalui dia punya dialog, macam mana kita bercakap. Lepas tu misalnya saya pergi overseas, lepas tu orang Indonesia datang tegur saya, orang Malaysia ya, Kak Ros Kak Ros. So yes, we are still finding our footing, but I believe that Malaysian identity can continuously be represented through nuances. Misalnya kita punya cara pemakaian in an illustration, pakai orang Malaysia suka pakai jersey bola. Lepas tu there are objects in the surroundings that can only be found in our Malaysian society. It also has to be accompanied by, because we are a very diverse and multiracial and multicultural society. To make it more contemporary, we have to continuously employ technological use and how it is used in our day-to-day lives. It's kind of a diaspora. We are still finding our footing. We're talking about the aesthetics of what makes a Malaysian identity, a Malaysian artwork, recognizable out there.
Right. I think instead of making it so difficult by wanting to always represent our identity as, we are multiracial, we are multicultural, I think sometimes it is just best to let things flow naturally. You know, if a certain art works, it works and it brings name to the country, likewise with our books as well, and all things culture related. Right, now, I know it's late afternoon, most people are quite sleepy, so we will now have a little respite from the dialogue and play you a small video. There's a reason behind this video, of course. Ready for a little bit of show time? I think we...
This is my work in a small studio on the back of the house.
Right, the reason for this video is actually twofold. One, to show the amount of work that goes behind an illustrator's efforts. Yeah, bukan easy. We see, oh, Harry Potter, senang je, wih, hebat gambar and all that. Yeah, very good, we appreciate. But actually, it is so intricate. Yes, and two, also, because of the lack of appreciation for not just their works, but even the names. I mean, when you say Harry Potter, I'll ask the floor, who wrote Harry Potter? I'm sure many of you can answer. Yeah? J.K. Rowling, yes. Okay, J.K. Rowling wrote the book. But who was the illustrator? If nama dia tak keluar kat situ tadi, I can guarantee you 100% probably would not be able to name that poor guy's name, John Kay, by the way, who did the illustrations for the first 5 books. Ni pun aku belajar semalam je. You know, last night I did a bit of study. Right, and by the way, he did it only for the first 5 books. Kemudian he said he was mentally tak boleh tahan anymore. The pressure was so high, and the last 2 books were illustrated by somebody called Levi Pinfold. Yeah. So now we come to that question of recognition. Is it true, or to what extent is it true that the people behind, the illustrators, sometimes unfortunately do not get the recognition that they deserve, or the payment that they deserve, or the treatment that they deserve? Yeah. I'll shoot this question to you first, Paul, since you've spoken to me about contracts and compensation and the recognition of illustrators.
Straight up, right off the bat, to answer your question, kalau dekat Malaysia ni, we still have a lot of work to do. Yes, we are lacking recognition towards illustrators. Where do I start? Well, for example, when there are potential clients that reach out to me, they want to pitch out a potential project, the first thing that comes into mind is, do they have a budget? Do you have a budget? And most of the time, they want something, benda yang cantik, benda tu nak siap cepat, dan harga murah. You cannot have all these 3 things at once unless because you will die, because you will die basically. You can get something of high quality, you can get something that is fast, but it will be expensive. You can get something that is cheap, you can get an illustration that is fast, tetapi it will take a long time, energy. Low quality, I guess. Well, yes, we are far behind in recognizing illustrators, but what I notice about and am proud about in the publishing industry is that I realize that a lot of these new editors, they are looking to hire illustrators over AI-generated pictures. And when they do, they are willing to sit down and listen to how we justify about the pricing, about the clauses, the contract agreements, in order for them to understand why we price our fees in a certain way. And once we sign a contract that gets out of the way, our names are properly credited on the cover of the book. So that's in publishing. Aside from that, what I noticed, there is a change, a sort of shift in the commercial field, is that a lot of big brands are now approaching young illustrators, and they are properly crediting their work. Katakan macam Aeon cross this illustrator, or a local skin brand, Watsons, cross this illustrator. Well, we are getting there. Tetapi when it comes to the standard big guns, they need to have a change of mindset and train their creative directors in how to deal with illustrators, to fairly compensate them, and how to keep the illustration industry up and running continuously, make it sustainable and not scare away our newly graduated illustrators from college.
Are there regulatory bodies that look into such matters, who guide young illustrators coming into the market?
Unfortunately, from a simple on internet search, no, not yet. But the best bet, the best bet for me, I am a member of the Association of Illustrators. They are a non-profit based in the UK that champions fair treatment towards illustrators and training. So what they do is that they provide a lot of resources that help every newbie to kickstart their illustration career. Misalnya, they have a template for, tak ada buku. They have a template for contract agreements, clauses that you can tweak to suit your country of origin, delivery dates, berapa lama that illustration can be used, 3 months, 5 years, 10 years down the road. You cannot use this illustration outside of this usage. Guna untuk stiker saja. Kalau stiker dengan postcard, stiker dan postcard saja. Lepas tu dia ada cerita pasal kalau if you want to extend the usage of that illustration, you have to pay a certain amount of fee. And if you want to completely buy the illustration and own it, then you have to pay about 3 to 5 times the amount of the original fee to fairly compensate the illustration. A lot of things come into that, and we need something like that. We need a non-profit, some sort of organization that protects our rights as an illustrator. And aside from that, is that resources include that they have veteran illustrators that conduct mentorship programs. You can sign up because it's a non-profit. They don't take a single cent from you, and you will be trained with and be under the mentorship of these illustrators. And misalnya you want to do advertising, they will tailor you, make you with seasoned illustrator from katakan Spain. If you want to do children's book publishing, they will make you with that man or that woman. And throughout the mentorship program, they will teach people like us who come from a developing nation on how to better present ourselves and have a more thriving career as an illustrator. Basically, you have to have a portfolio, and you start looking for clients. What are the techniques that come into how to email these clients, where to find these agencies, what are the red flags. Kalau you are working with an agent, they should only take about 15 to 35% of the commission cut. Anything above that is a red flag. Diorang ni menipu, scammer. Lepas tu, also in their website, in the website and within the organization themselves, they also train you, and they have a fee calculator. Kalau you buat buku, picture books, how much is a spread? And the price differs. Is it a full color spread or is it a spot illustration? Kalau spot, murah sikit sebab background dia putih. Lepas tu kalau food packagings, it's cheaper because it's small, tetapi and the usage should be longer lah. Lepas tu kalau advertising, it depends on the client. It could be, is the billboard, is it going to be on a billboard, on a large screen? Is it going to be nationwide atau Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore? Then in that case, then the charges will be higher. So we don't have that here. A guild that champions the rights of our visual artists, bukan saja illustrator tetapi graphic designers, animators, 3D artists, poster makers. So eventually, so to me, because I rely on this UK body, it's very good. Perhaps one day, if there is an initiative from the community and the support from the government to keep this up and running, it will be wonderful because it will help protect the rights and the career of our future fresh illustrators that come out of college and want to make it as a living. So, but when I attended KL Illustration Fair last year, I brought the book from the AOI, Association of Illustrators, about business and practices. A lot of the students came by, they stopped, lepas tu tanya, Lepas tu saya tanya dia orang lah, you belajar apa? Oh, saya belajar illustration. Oh, you tahu tak pasal compensation? You dah habis belajar nak buat apa? Oh, saya nak kerja dengan company atau nak kerja graphic design. Maybe tunggu sekejap sebab diorang tak tahu nak buat apa. So, sebab diorang tak belajar. Diorang tak belajar pasal negotiation skills, entrepreneurship, how to protect themselves along the way and have a self-sustaining career along the way.
Thank you for that, Paul. I think she gave a detailed insight that I think we needed on protection, for instance, and how we at the moment seem to be lacking and have to rely on external sources. Lack of platforms is one thing. I think what we've heard from Paul is also the reason why we need this kind of conversations taking place. Yes, at first I was like, okay, what am I doing with this? Should I do this and all that? But having just listened to them, I understand that it is it's very, very important, today's conversation here, because it needs to be heard, it needs to be put out there. Now, for the two of you as academics, along with this line of query, I would like to pose this to you. As academics, there seems to be a gap between the private sector and then the government university, your sector, for instance. There are a lot of private institutions, colleges, for example. I was given some names like Darsin Academy of Art, the One Academy, Undu Academy, MIA, Saito, and all that, who have their own programs, who seem to be on their own track. And then you have the public universities. Why this gap, and what differences do they make to the industry?
Gap in terms of the courses that has been offered in
the
university.
Courses, yes.
I think the reality, I'm not sure the updated UPU what are the courses that are available, but I do know for art courses in Malaysia for public U, not much. Because speaking among our friends, among academicians where they're from, so we have from UITM for public U, so we do have USM, but not specifically on graphic design as well. Then now we have Aswara as well, but the rest of it in the private sector. Like for me in University Durulaman, of course UNISEL as well, we have the art courses. I assume something got to do with the courses, the facilities at the same time, probably is costly. And then other than that, perhaps I assume back then our nation was more towards science, so it was lack on proposing art stream back then. we do have, but I'm not sure graphic design specifically.
And I've also heard that it's quite expensive to take some of these courses that can go up to 100,000 ringgit and all.
But when it comes to private colleges, we have a lot, from One Academy, UTAR, and so we have so many, and then it's very expensive. And also there's a lot of students entering the courses at the same time. And then we were discussing just now, right? Like what happened, right? We have all these illustrator and graphic artists. Where do they go? They don't go to the agency. So I spoke even earlier that most of my student alumni, they go for international client because they pay in USD, like you. So it's like, why I want to work in agency in Malaysia, pay 1 hour work for 200 ringgit? Why? Like obviously pay 1 hour for 200 USD is major gap. So yeah, that's what perhaps Zaim.
Actually, in most of the university in Malaysia, they have a course art and design, or nama yang berbeza, macam-macam nama kan. Tapi like UNISEL, we are Faculty of Communication, Visual Art and Computing. Last time our name is Faculty Art and Design. So whoever the university that have art course, definitely they have a subject illustration. Sama ada 1 ataupun 2. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3. But in UNISEL we have 2 illustration course. One is illustration 1.
Same like
the subject is illustration 1 and the other one is illustration 2. What is the difference between illustration 1 and illustration 2? Illustration 1, we teach them how to draw, how to illustrate, how to do illustration manual method. But the other one, illustration 2, we are focusing on digital. So both are both very important because they need to know the traditional way and they need to know digital way. And beside that, they need to learn drawing first lah, drawing dulu, drawing 1 and drawing 2. Sebab without drawing, diorang tak boleh buat illustration. But untuk pengkhususan, let's say you want to be an illustrator after you graduate, yang itu kita tak ada lah. Except one, I heard one academy kan.
Yes.
One
Agree,
academy
yeah.
dia memang ada illustration course, illustration saja.
Okay.
Itu very apa nama ni, dia fokus on illustration saja. Anyway, we have, because our course is graphic design, so they ada banyak subjek yang dia perlu belajar, termasuklah subjek illustration. Anyway, some student they need to become an illustrator, so they just focus on themselves lah, practicing and try to find a freelance job for practicing. Kadang-kadang practice pun tak best juga kalau tak ada kan. So bila ada job, seronok sikit lah nak practice. And from the job tu lah yang diorang akan decide they want to become an illustrator or a graphic designer. Itu je lah.
Right, thank you, Cik Zaim. So it looks like, one, from the way the private sector seems to be investing so much into this, it's quite clear that the demand for visual content is growing, and especially fueled by, for instance, digital marketing, e-commerce, social media, and also AI tools, for instance. So it is a growing market, yes? And before I continue with the question, could I have the next round of slides, please? Right. We have 4 individuals here. Anurendra Jagadeva, the first one. The next one, please. Mr. H.H. Lim, all Malaysian artists and illustrators, by the way. The next one, please. Mr. Ivan Lam, and the next person, please. I think, Mr. Zulkifli Yusuf. These 4 gentlemen actually brought, so they were the first Malaysian contingent to represent Malaysia at the 58th International Art Exhibition in Venice. Okay? And also we have Ms. Red Hong Yi. I don't know if her slide is here. Some of you might have heard she is quite renowned, right? Ms. Red Hong Yi, her work actually made it to the front cover of the Time magazine. So, see, automatically you hear the wow. So I come to the next question of, is it true that many local illustrators find it an uphill task to get themselves known, because major bookstores, they often want to just push international titles, and that appears to be what readers want as well. And there's also the belief that local talents only get noticed if they make it overseas first. Is that true? Can you share your thoughts?
Firstly, I want to make pembetulan sikit. The four artists that represent Malaysia during the Biennale kan?
Yeah, Biennale, yes.
Biennale is actually a fine artist,
yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, because they're not an illustrator.
Yeah.
Okay, but they're doing a drawing. So tak apalah kan.
Yeah. So the question basically is, must you be well known overseas first sebelum dikenali,
Not really.
before you are recognized here?
Okay.
Just your thoughts.
Not really, but if you if overseas know you is better for you, kan? I also myself also I'm doing a exhibition around the world actually, kan, before this, but that one is not a plan. That one is not a plan, but that one is by invitation. So pergi overseas tu percuma sajalah. Cuma maybe sometime I just bought a ticket, that's all. Yang the rest of the apa nama ni accommodation semua percuma. But what you have to do, you just paint. You just paint apa nama ni macam kontra lah, because everything is support by the organizer. Then we have to produce something. Okay, what I did is to painting because I'm an artist, kan. And first time represent Malaysia 2004, and after 2004 until now, every year I will invited by any other art residency or whatever, kan. Because apa tahu, because yang ni kita nak sentuh sikit pasal network lah. Network is very important.
Yeah. Could you also please share your experiences of your 1 year of art residency which you did in Macedonia? I read in your profile that you felt that really helped you to connect with an international audience and how you were invited. Yeah, if you can tell, I'm sure there are many young people here who will benefit. How do you acquire such residencies? How did it happen for you, and what are the benefits?
For the beginning, I was representing Malaysia under National Art Gallery. For the first beginning, it's under ASEAN, but National Art Gallery was offer me to Vietnam 2004. In 2005, I went to Macedonia. Okay, from Vietnam, the first one from Vietnam. Bila dah kenal dengan artis, dia ada 10 country, kan. So kita banner network sendiri. After Macedonia, I went to Tunisia because of friend yang ada di situ, kan. Biasanya a short residency ni kita ada banyak artis from that region. Contohnya Macedonia, Balkan punya artis, kan. So daripada 2 weeks kita di sana, and then next year they will do another art camp or art workshop, and usually they invite friend yang dia tahulah. So kalau Malaysia, saya lah yang dijemput. And after Macedonia, I went to Bulgaria, Tunisia. Masa di Bulgaria, I met another friend, kan. Masa di Tunisia, I met new friend. So this friend yang introduce me to their country. The best part that they need when others country gather in their country, kan, all artists from another country will paint for them. So they don't have to find another artist to collect the work. The artist come to their place. Itu yang itu yang benefit yang organizer dapat lah sebenarnya. Malaysia dah practice benda ni, tapi among artis dia yang tahu. Dia tak reveal pada public, kan. Mungkin public yang tak aware, tak tahulah, kan. Tapi slowly kita dah ada a few, contohnya House of Mata Hati, Bayu Otomo, dia dah lama buat program ni, invite artis around the ASEAN region once a while in dekat dia punya gallery tu, dan kita ada exchange artist, dan kita invite dia orang, nanti dia orang invite kita. So yang tu adalah satu cara macam mana kita nak luaskan kita punya, satu, nama. Yang kedua, kita represent country, kan. Yang ketiga, artwork kita. Okay, yang itu fine artist lah. Sama juga, same goes to Illustrator. For example, we have Frankfurt Frankfurt Book Fair kan, apa lagi, Bologna Book Fair, and Iran, Iran, Tehran kan, tapi Iran tengah war sekarang, so tak adalah. So when come to book exhibition ataupun book fair, di situlah berkumpulnya illustrator, dan bila berkumpul illustrator nanti dia akan dia akan share experience and share a client as well, a publisher. Sebab waktu zaman saya dulu, untuk to have a new job, we don't have an even email. Kena call, memang susah lah. Tapi I'm lucky because during my time, 90s kan, 90s, tak ramai illustrator, tak ramai orang macam tak ramai, tak ada. Only a few, boleh kira dengan jari. So whatever publisher need to illustrate a book kan, I'm one of the illustrator in Malaysia yang bertungkus lumus untuk menyiapkan illustration tu. So that's why quit from kerja, then start full time artist. Okay, so network is very important lah.
And I agree with you, because I went to the Bologna Book Fair this year, and that's where, because I didn't go with any agenda, so this was my book fair yang free and easy, so I jalan-jalan and just talking to people, and observing, and I noticed so many artists and illustrators daripada around Europe yang just datang sahaja, they just were sitting everywhere, mana-mana tempat ada, everywhere, so many illustrators, and just they would start drawing and doing whatever, networking ke what, young people. From so many countries. It was just absolutely beautiful to see that going on. And I would love to see that kind of a scenario in our country, for sure. And ladies and gentlemen, I think this is a fantastic platform today, which has been realized by PIPAS as well as MBBY. I think it's an excellent beginning. And hopefully we can take this a step forward by also bringing the world to our country. If we can go out there and benefit, we see, we learn, it's time also to start to incorporate what we learn. Why can't we also organize workshops, residencies for illustrators and all industry-related people in this country? Yes, ladies, would you like to add to that in any ways about your experiences abroad?
And one more thing.
Yes, Cik Zaim, very serious nampak. Yes, apa dia?
Maybe publisher not appreciate illustrator or what?
Maybe I can have add perspective to that. Okay.
That was my earlier question, but you did not answer. So I thought, okay, mungkin tak ada masalah. So why go there? But Dr. Hasleena, yes,
but
please.
I think the reality of, by the end of the day, the reality is business. You have talented artists, yes. Can I use the metaphor of ayam goreng? Yeah. Ayam goreng yang dekat tepi jalan, harga dia berapa? KFC lain, berbeza kan? By the end of the day, it's ayam goreng lah. So you're talking about artists, right? Everyone can draw. But how good can you draw? Isn't it? So then, can you sell your work? Who's going to buy? How many copies you going to sell? So by the end of the day, it's going back to the business. So then, explain back to the answer that it's publisher lah. You could be talented. We could have many pool of illustrator, but who's going to market them? What can we sell the artwork? Even if we to ask the audience, right? Even you yourself, like how many times you buy a book in a month? I don't think so once a month. I don't think once in 3 months. That is the reality of book business. Dia bukan macam makanan kan kita beli setiap hari. So then we also know that we only have a few bookstore. So you have all this. So where you want to market them? How you want to sell them?
And people want cheap books pula. They don't want to pay for your labor. We have just come back from China, PIPAS and MBBY, from the Beijing Book Fair. And we were shocked to see some of the prices, fantastic books, very elaborately done and prepared. But because China has the scale, China has the capacity, They don't print beberapa ribu, they print in berjuta-juta. So, you know, and of course they have the technology as well. So we are finding it so difficult to compete with them. Bila mana buku kita, you know, you say, jual RM100 pun aku tak dapat banyak. But they are selling for, would you believe, like our money, RM29. You know, there's no way you can sell that book in Malaysia of that quality for that price. So we need to do something about this. Yeah, we've learned, we know, okay, there's China there that can help us, and we've been out there, we've learned some things. Again, balik-balik, we come back to that. It's time to incorporate, practice. It's time to walk the talk. Yep. So I think we have done the talking. The people who must do the walking, I am sure, are listening to the message and will lead, at least start by taking that first step. I think with that, we don't want to bore you any longer. I understand it's going to be 4 o'clock, everyone are balik, everyone are whatever, right? But we would like to open to the floor. If there's anyone who would like to ask questions to our 3 panelists here, by all means, please put up your hands. Yeah, okay, can somebody pass the mic, please?
Hi everyone, my name is Abinizam and I am a comic artist and also freelance illustrator. So I would love to ask some questions to the panels. Is that I just need some, what advice would you give to young readers who want to stay true to their identity as in illustration and want to make a sustainable living by doing illustration that represent identity as in Malaysian elements or stories? How do you want to make sure that, okay, if I choose these local themes or having a unique identity, it might make me want to stand out from the rest. What do you think of these questions? Thank you.
Answer that? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my advice to young readers or creators is that you start off doing what you love, and because doing what you love drives your passion to continuously create. So while you continuously have the energy to create, strengthen your fundamentals in drawing. Get better in perspective, anatomy, drawing emotions, subject matter, and as well as light and shadow, and you have to get out of your comfort zone, drawing landscapes, drawing faces of people, and then eventually you have to in order to kickstart your career as an illustrator, make as many portfolio pieces as you can, book covers, your reinterpretation of a book cover macam Harry Potter tadi kan, maybe you make it your own style with a different title, maybe it's typed out atau hand drawn, lepas tu make a fake poster design for a sports event, katakan SEA Games or the Olympics, because when you have a variety of subject matter, you are showing your potential clients and people who pay you for your work that you have range. This person can draw faces, this person can draw animals, this person is very good with color communication. As well as character design, can you draw babies, can you draw old people, and not only get better at drawing, but this is something that is very overlooked amongst our young illustrators and artists, is to practice getting out of your shell and get better at talking to people, with clients, negotiation skills, presenting yourself, making yourself memorable, making yourself professional, practice communicating by email, deliver your artwork on time. All the while continuously draw what you love, stay true to your art style. Perhaps you are influenced by comics, manga, or video games, or Teletubby style drawings. Winnie the Pooh. Keep it, yes, just keep it consistent and never stop practicing and drawing what you love. Yes, did I answer the question?
I don't know, to me it sounds very stressful, but I'm sure to the young people, you understand what she means exactly. All she means is work hard and harder. Tu je. And any other questions? We've got another question.
Assalamualaikum dan selamat petang. Saya Fatihah daripada Mass Communication Publishing UTM Shalom. Saya nak bertanya berkenaan dengan kemajuan teknologi sekarang kan kita ada AI generator. Kita nak tahu ada tak kesan kepada industri Illustrator lah. Ada tak kesan terhadap AI generator kepada industri Illustrator?
I'm teaching computer graphic for year 1 and SEM 1 student, and also year 2 and FYP and the rest. It seems to everyone seems to have this fear that AI might replace our work, which I don't think so. But we do encourage students to use AI to generate an idea only. But by the end of the day, I don't think AI could duplicate whatever you're doing, because your own stroke, your own idea, even to create a prompt, the prompt for the AI itself require a craftsmanship. So if you ask me, it's not a threat. I think something to complement into a general field of creative field lah. So nothing to worry about if you ask me.
I absolutely did not understand the question, so I have nothing to say about the answer, but I think she gave some clarity. Want to add?
Something to say.
Paul?
Yes, unfortunately, there is a. I went to KL International Book Fair, and from the ground, I could say that there are a lot of AI-generated book covers, and from that, kita tak tahu berapa if those stories are AI-generated themselves. So for me, the advancements of AI-generated art is inevitable. It's going to be there. Tetapi there is a sort of a paradigm shift in which there is an opposing force that is fighting against this growing trend of AI artwork by championing human-made artwork. So, misalnya, there are publishers out there that are looking to employ illustrators because human-made illustration has a human touch that an AI generator does not have. There is a story behind every stroke, behind every decision-making, pokok-pokok, bunga-bunga dan bangunan yang lukis tu. The decision you make, was it, how many days did it take for you to decide, and what was the conversation that went behind between you and your editor about it? So, ultimately, sebenarnya AI ni, I'm sorry sesiapa yang penggemar AI and AI generated artwork, tetapi it is devaluing art as a whole, which is why we have awards out there, and there are people in the industry that are always championing human-made artwork, painting, coloring, macam the use of Gajah Illustration Award. They look into the merits of the technicalities, what techniques you use, because it is absolutely incomparable than computer AI-generated artwork. You have a story to tell behind how you compose that spread. Lepas tu kalau AI generated pula, nak cerita apa, you punya jari tekan A, B, C, D, E. So in the end of the day, when a force comes up, there is always an opposing force to push it down. And initiatives like this, macam Datin Sri Paduka buatkan dengan Datuk, this whole conversation and this fair is something that we must continuously support.
And just like how earlier Professor Sirin was able to give us a very insightful explanation of the Nami Conquers, for instance, and also the Yusuf Gajah Awards, he was able to talk about the journey of the artist from his early days, his specialization, the work that he did at the Nami Conquers and so forth. Because of that human element, he was able to talk about it. What do you say about an AI-produced work? Where was this AI born? Di kampung mana? Siapakah mentor dia? Di sekolah mana dia belajar and all that? You have no history to it. There is no latar belakang that you can provide. I think that's what we are trying to say here about AI. But like Paul said, it's something that we cannot, it's an inevitability. The future is just quite frightening, but it's unavoidable. We have to face it. Okay, any other questions? You've got one more
boleh
question?
saya sambung
Yeah,
tak?
sorry,
Nak
Cik
sambung
Nair, Cik Zaim.
Berkenaan dengan AI ni, actually saya rasa lah publisher yang nak save cost dia guna AI, kan? Dan public tak tahu AI dan human touch, dia tak kenal pun yang mana yang AI, yang mana yang ni, kan? Only a few person saja yang tahu, oh this is AI, this is apa, kan? So untuk jimat kos AI lah, apa lagi? Maknanya tak appreciate Illustrator lah, kan? Tak appreciate illustration by apa namanya, by human touch punya artwork. I rasa sangat sedih lah benda tu, kan? Sangat sedih. Tapi walau macam mana pun AI, since dia dah ada, kan, so kita kena hadap, dan kita gunakan AI ni as a tool untuk kita dapatkan idea. When we need some idea, we just prompt and we get some picture. Tapi kalau kita as an illustrator atau as an artist, kita tak follow exactly apa yang kita, mungkin kita jadikan image tu sebagai kita punya reference, ataupun kita jadikan composition tu as our reference. That's all, kan? Sebab whatever it is, human touch is the best artwork lah in result. Okay.
And we are imperfect. We will never be perfect. I think that's the beauty of humans, probably. We are not perfect. The next question.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum dan selamat petang. Di Malaysia ni kita sebenarnya dah semakin ramai pengkarya buku bergambar kanak-kanak yang mengekalkan identiti dan membawa imajinasi pembaca, kanak-kanak khususnya, kepada lebih tinggi, seperti Ruang Pak Yusuf Gajah, Ustaz Khairul Azman Ismail, Encik Nai dengan batiknya, kan, Tuan Basari Mak Yasid. Cuma contoh Tuan untuk Tuan Zaim lah, adakah kita masih kekurangan pendedahan tentang identiti dan imajinasi Malaysia itu sendiri? Kerana seperti apa yang dikabarkan baru-baru ni, ada netizen tersalah sangka bahawa beruang yang digunakan sebagai maskot Tahun Melawat Malaysia 2026 adalah bukan beruang dari Malaysia, sedangkan ia adalah haiwan yang terancam, iaitu beruang matahari. Jadi apakah kita masih kekurangan pendedahan ataupun kita masih kekurangan identiti dalam karya kita, khususnya apa yang kita bincangkan pada hari ini adalah berkenaan ilustrasi buku kanak-kanak. Terima kasih.
Malaysian identity beruang tu memang satu kesilapan lah, kan? Kalau kita ambil animals, kita ada banyak je animals kita yang dijadikan sebagai kita punya identity. Harimau contohnya, kan? Tapi untuk kita hasilkan satu-satu karya, buku, illustration, kan? Illustration buku, kita perlu contohnya macam saya ada mention tadi pasal Upin Ipin, kan? Upin Ipin is the best animation, because apa saja episod yang dia keluarkan, dia kan ada sama ada traditional food ataupun permainan tradisional, kan? So yang itu yang membawa identiti Malaysia sebenarnya. Okey, kalau untuk produce buku, berbalik kepada beruang tadi, kan, maknanya kekurangan research. Research sebelum kita hasilkan satu-satu buku, sepatutnya kita perlu research lah. Sama juga kalau kita nak buat artwork, painting ataupun illustration, perlukan research. So daripada research itulah kita dapat dapat membentuk identiti. Apa yang contohnya makanan kan, kita ada banyak makanan, permainan tradisional, budaya, pakaian, ada banyak je. Cuma bila kita nak produce book illustration contohnya kan, so kita tak boleh produce satu, tapi kita tak kalau satu tak memadai. Dia kena bersiri. Contohnya mungkin 6 buah buku untuk satu siri, 8 buah buku untuk satu siri, ataupun 10 buah buku untuk satu siri dengan subjek matter yang sama. Sama tu maknanya tradisional. Contoh makanan tradisional, satu buku bahulu contohnya, satu buku lemang, satu buku periuk kera, lemang periuk kera, satu. So daripada situ kita akan banner kita punya identiti makanan. Okey, kita buat lagi satu siri identiti dari segi permainan contohnya. Buat a series of book of traditional game. Baru kita dapat bentuk identiti. Itu belum masuk stroke lagi. Tapi stroke tu kita tak boleh kata Malaysian stroke macam ni. Sebab stroke tu is universal. Kan? Sama juga color is universal lah. Cuma untuk identiti subject matter je lah. Saya rasa jelas. Okay.
Any other questions? One more?
Hello. Okay, I'm just gonna be quick. How do you, as an artist, charge your artwork to a client?
Charge?
Like, money.
Right. It depends on a variety of factors. As an illustrator, it depends on what project it is. Firstly, is it a book publishing? Is it a book cover? Is it an advertising illustration? Is it a fashion design? Is it an illustration for an album cover, for example? And then the next question is to ask, what is it for? What is the usage? Is it going to be on postcards? Is it going to be on postcards and scarves and t-shirts? If it's the second one, you charge higher. Then second is to ask about the area of use. Is this illustration only going to be within Malaysia? Or is it going to be in Malaysia and the whole of Southeast Asia, all 10 countries? If it is the second one, you charge higher. Thirdly is the duration of the usage. How long is this illustration going to be used? 3 months, 5 years, 10 years, the longer it is, the higher you charge. Fourth is it depends on the budget of the client. If they have a small budget, you have to try to be flexible and you can try to be flexible and accommodate, or you can outright reject them. But if the bigger the budget they have, then you can try to meet to a middle ground of how much you charge. And of course, the quality of your work will be better because of the money. So it depends on those factors. If it's by industry standards, if it's a book cover, then you should charge accordingly for a 10-year exclusivity. For example, a reasonable charge would be about 2,500 for 10 years. Example, okay. If it's for an international sports event, katakan the Olympics, perhaps 10 times higher than that, because the reach is going to be seen by a lot of other countries, people from other countries around the world, and it's going to be splattered across a lot of platforms, campaigns, billboards, online use. So those are some questions you have to ask for. So I highly recommend that you look into YouTube. You can search how to charge your illustration. And on Google search, you could look up the Association of Illustrators website on what is the estimation fee for that particular project. But always start with the first question, do you have a budget?
If you have further questions on that subject, I suggest you meet up with Paul afterwards. I think she'll be sticking around for a bit. Any other questions? Soalan? Datin Paduka has a question. Lady of the hour, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mic doesn't seem to be functioning.
Okay. Thank you, Geetha. Thank you to all the three panels. It's very interesting. But I just want to comment the previous question regarding about how if you want to save costs. Okay. So I just want to create a narrative. Okay. Let's say all the publishers want to save money, or whoever want to write books want to save money. They want to pay the illustration at higher price, and we get the AI. Okay, fine. You can do that. And I'm as a working at the library, I want to make a book, I want to save costs, so I don't want to pay. It's all right. Then ending is the AI is doing the job without the heart, without the soul. What happened to our kids that are going to read that book? Then later on, what kind of mindset that they're going to have? So this question, this narrative is meant for me, it's meant for all my officers in this library, it's meant for Datuk as a publisher, it's meant for any decision makers. Please do this accordingly. And it's a cycle. For example, if I want to buy a chair's furniture, I can go direct to the factory. What happened to the sole distributor? What happened to the vendors? What happened to the retailer? What happened to the agent, the vendor? So if you cut this thing, it means that you're going to deprive certain people risky or profit for them to survive. What happened when people cannot survive? You don't have a very safe environment because people struggle to find money. So who are the people that these people who don't have money target to get? They going to pecah rumah, ambil itu, ambil ni. So what I'm saying that all of us have to see the big picture, why we are doing this. And today I told Datuk, we have to create more, and I'm interested to know about Puteri Nur Atiqah. You know, I heard people, I pay you in USD. Why can't we? Why can't Malaysia? I mean, it's okay, we pay in Malaysia, but how much is your to USD? 200 USD, so we pay you 1,000. Okay, why not? But provided you give the best, because you know why? Anak pengarah library, cucu pengarah library, anak pegawai kerajaan, anak orang kaya, CEO akan beli baca buku apa? Buku yang dilukis, ditulis oleh penulis, illustrator, graphic designer yang have enough money in the bank, settle duit kereta, loan rumah, loan ni, tak pening kepala, dan Tuhan akan bagi lebih kreatif. Dia akan baca buku yang fantastik. Dan saya untuk beli buku dekat library kanak-kanak, kadang-kadang saya kena beli buku overseas. Buku daripada overseas ni cantik dia punya ni. Baru saya jumpa one publisher yang lokal punya. Dan terima kasih kepada pihak MBBY, Puan Sumai Timbalan, cari illustrator. Kami dah ada 49 illustrator. And I nampak dia punya illustrator is super. But nobody want to print. When I ask, you print pakai apa? Digital. When digital is going to be expensive. So for this seminar, I hope that jangan, not even me, not even my staff, not even Datuk, after this action. And I want to have a meeting, a proper meeting, tengok and put a line, timeline. And Geetha, you are very straightforward. I'm telling you now, straightforward. You make sure the timeline. That's your job. Even though you are not working with the library, but as I said this morning, it's not about me, library, I kena buat. Everybody punya tanggungjawab, termasuk you youngsters. You kena bangun, bangkit. If you don't fight for our country, siapa lagi? Don't say if you want people to change, we start changing. We do it now. So, hari ni weekend, besok saya rest, saya pun nak rest. Tapi I tahu that kita orang selalu meeting Zoom, meeting call, can tanya my staff. But I'm happy, you know why? It's not for it's for my, I cakap macam ni, it's for my own cucu, that's it. So all of you, Puan Su pun dari cucu dia kena buat extra mile untuk cucu dia. Geetha pun, I think next 5 years dah ada cucu. Okay, you're married, Datuk pun dah ada. So everybody, and you're getting married, you want to, your kids to read something books bagus kan? That's why kita kena drain out idea daripada Presiden yang bagus sangat ni, daripada UNISEL, Datuk Reza ni, kita perah betul-betul bersama Puteri, bersama Tuan Zaim dan Hasleena. I selalu kata, once you in, no way out. Siapa yang kerja dengan PPS ni, kita kerja sama-sama, dan kita hargai orang-orang sastrawan macam Datuk Said, Mak Said, Samad Said datang tadi. Kita kena buat all out. It's meant for our children. Can we start with that? InsyaAllah. So tolong siapa-siapa publisher jangan pakai AI I tak nak.
Please.
Saya nak macam ni. You all darjah kuasa kami, bila kami nak pilih buku kami tengok. Kalau dia pakai AI, kami tak beli. Macam saya kata, siapa buat buku untuk pembaca matang, library tak beli. Kita akan bagi. And then kami nak tengok berapa you all bayar pada penulis. And bagi saya, bagaimana kita nak suruh illustrator ni tulis dengan harga yang tinggi. You buat profit sharing. Sebab orang buat buku, dia kena keluar modal yang besar. So dia tak mampu, okay, I bayar you sikit dulu 1,000, tapi kalau buku jual lebih 1,000, 5,000, you ada royalty, you ada ni. That is investment. It's win-win situation. So I think macam mana kita treat author, kita treat illustrator sama. Dekat US sekarang dia buat illustrator dengan author tu is partner. Dia boleh buat. Dan saya tadi terfikir nak sebab I dengar you buat untuk overseas kan. Saya cakap dengan timbalan saya ada seorang ni, saya nak sangat dia buat buku, itu Tuan Fazrul. Dia buat buku, dia cakap pasal parenting apa semua, tapi you illustrate. Kalau dapat. So jadi kita combine, nanti saya jumpa insya-Allah. Terima kasih. Itu saja.
One word, yeah? She said, heart. Okay? Perfect word to end the day because, well, we can all give ourselves a big clap now before I continue because I feel members of the creative industry are the people with the biggest heart of all. Think about it, it's always the writers, the illustrators, the artists, the painters, the actors who will be the first ones to raise a voice against injustices, social injustices, wars, oppression, deforestation, global warming, apa sekalipun, who are the first people to raise some awareness, to give their thoughts. They help us think, they help us dream, they give us hope, really. So on that note, I would like to end. But before that, I want to say, as we continue to value and support our artists and illustrators in Malaysia, we want to imagine a better Malaysia, a better tomorrow. And I see that in the hands of so many of these young people who have actually stayed on and given us the support today. So thank you very much to all of you. Before we leave, we have a short video of a Malaysian illustrator who made a global impact with her work. I introduced her earlier to you as Red Hong Yi. She made it to the cover of Time magazine, as I said earlier. And then in this video, she explains her art. She used matchsticks with green tops to melambangkan pokok-pokok. She and her team, they stuck these matchsticks on a canvas with the drawings of the globe, a map of the world. They spend hours, berjam-jam, berhari-hari, doing it. After they finish sticking all these matchsticks, they set it on fire. They let it burn. The whole thing that took them hours and days to do burned down in under 2 minutes. What she was trying to show was that a magnificent piece of work like our world, our environment, can be destroyed in minutes by humans. That is the video that we are going to watch now. on that note, thank you. Right. Anyway, I think my voice cukup loud enough. Is it working now? On that note, I want to say thank you for staying back and thank you for celebrating the power of words, the power of stories and the power of imagination. Thank you very much. See, till we meet again. Terima kasih.
Baik, sekali lagi kita bagi satu lagi tepukan gemuruh untuk moderator dan juga panel kita pada petang ini. Dan saya minta panel dan juga moderator untuk kekal di atas pentas. Waktu ini waktu anda untuk menyerlah. Baiklah, selesai sudah kita menelusuri wacana, membuka tabir kata, menyulam identiti Malaysia untuk kita bawa ke pentas dunia. Saya ulas sedikit sahaja. Minggu yang lalu, kita nama Malaysia megah di pentas dunia di Costa Brava, Sepanyol, di mana kita telah mendapat 6 emas di International Dance Games 2025. Salah satunya adalah tarian sep-sep tom-tom. Jadi, saya nak cabar semua Illustrator. Adakah selepas ini kita boleh dapat satu award dengan Illustrator permainan tradisional Malaysia? Sama-sama kita nantikan. Baik, terima kasih yang tidak terhingga saya ucapkan kepada moderator Miss Geetha yang telah memimpin jalan bicara, juga kepada 3 panelis yang saya kira cukup berpengalaman dan memberi banyak ilham pada kita pada petang ini. Sempurnalah sudah forum kita pada hari ini. Moga segala ilmu, cetusan rasa dan cerita yang kita kongsi akan menjadi satu nadi baru untuk kita terus menulis, melukis, melakar dan mendidik generasi akan datang. Sebagai tanda penghargaan dan kenangan, mari kita raikan dengan penyampaian cenderamata kepada moderator dan juga para panelis. Sebelum itu, saya dengan hormatnya mempersilakan yang berbahagia Datin Paduka Hajah Mastura binti Haji Muhammad untuk menyampaikan cenderamata. Dipersilakan. Saya persilakan yang pertama kita punya moderator, Miss Geetha. Tersenyum saja Miss Geetha hari ini sepanjang forum. Seterusnya saya persilakan panelis Tuan Zaim Durulaman. Ada peminat di belakang nampaknya. Seterusnya panelis kedua Dr. Hasleena Hamzah. Dan panelis ketiga Pak Wahab. Ada yang sebut Po, ada yang sebut Pau. Jadi kita tanya sama-sama nanti. Baik, terima kasih saya ucapkan kepada yang bahagia Datin Paduka atas kesudian menyampaikan cenderamata. Baik, kita ambil gambar satu di pentas dahulu ya, bersama dengan panel dan juga moderator. Saya persilakan Datuk Ahmad Reza dan juga Profesor Datuk Mat Sidin untuk bersama-sama di atas pentas. Profesor Dr. Mulyadi, persilakan. Bagi tetamu jemputan, boleh betulkan tudung anda, rambut anda, baju anda. Kita akan bergambar selepas ini ya. Baik, terima kasih semua. Seterusnya, kita akan teruskan dengan sesi bergambar berkumpulan. Jadi saya pohon yang di sebelah kanan dan kiri, seat yang di sebelah kanan dan kiri boleh bangun ke tengah. Kita penuhkan ruang di tengah untuk kita bergambar. Boleh berdiri juga. Jurugambar kita akan bersedia di atas pentas. Jadi pastikan anda telah masuk frame jurugambar.